Welcome back, Chooms. So update 2.0 is finally out for everyone, and I'm really glad that you can jump into it. So today we are going to properly analyze the biggest changes because I can finally post 2.0 gameplay. Keep in mind that this video won't contain anything from Phantom Liberty, that's coming later. One of the first things that you can see when you enter into the update are some of the first UI and UX changes, like reorganization, revamp of some of the loot icons and especially Cyberware ones, making it a lot more distinct. Plus the map itself is now a little bit more detailed with enhanced background design, giving you a better look of the terrain. Now consumables themselves like food or drinks are decent, some will give you buffs like before, while others like alcoholic drinks obviously limit that by giving you less movement and accuracy. In general, I wasn't really using consumables too much before. Now I do, but still in very rare occasions, and mostly at the start of the playthrough when my character is relatively weak. When you enter, you will also get a call from Vic to come and see him. This is a small little quest, which is how the game segues into you trying out new cyberware. And once you get the call, you will see how the new phone UI looks. It's much more cleaner and better to view and sorted properly, so it's easier for you to find the right contacts. And in the other tab you have messages. I like this change, definitely needed. It's the same when it comes to shards and notes section, because in Cyberpunk you will collect a lot of them, so it's a bit easier to see them and find the ones you actually need to read. One of the first new updated features we're going to talk about are the new redesigned perks. When you enter, you will have a reset completely. Keep in mind, attributes won't reset, so you will have a button in the menu so you can actually reset once. But my advice is to go with your old build, or well, your old attribute build, to see how it is. And then later on you can basically reset it. You still have body, reflexes, tech, intelligence and cool, with new relic skill tree, but keep in mind that's only if you have Phantom Liberty. Perks themselves are now a lot more organized, giving you a clear insight into what you want. By unlocking the perk, you just have to follow these lines and they will lead you to the top perk you actually want to have. As we can see here, most of them are divided into three main groups. So one group, let's say in reflexes, can only be about assault rifles and submachine guns, another for pistols, and then last one for blades, let's say. But you can connect this in case you want high-end perks without spending all of the points on perks below it. As you can see, some of them will allow that connection. As always, you can combine skills and abilities with other perk trees for the optimal result. I do recommend getting some perks which are not really connected to the rest, like for example, Car Hacker in Intelligence section. This one unlocks ability to hack cars and is very useful. For example, now you can hack every single vehicle in the game, you can floor it, make it break, make it explode, or even take control of the vehicle. Same for the rest, like for example, Road Warrior perk in Cool section that allows you to use Sandevistan and Krasnikov in your vehicle. Just like Edge Runners, it's actually very cool. I recommend this a lot. Also Gearhead perk, which gives you more health to your vehicle and more damage from weapons. But of course, for each tree you must reach a certain attribute threshold. It's usually 15 for middle perks and 20 if you want the best ones. Keep in mind that this is my test build, character, so I might have more perks or attribute points available than you will do in your own playthrough. Now, in order to do finishers, you must unlock that as a perk. So usually it will be after a few points. In reflexes, we unlocked Slippery, Lead and Steel, and afterwards Finishers perk. You can push this even more, but keep in mind, bigger icons are abilities, while smaller ones usually work as upgrades and bonuses for that ability. For Netrunners, Overclock ability is very much needed because when used, you can hack people even if you don't have RAM, but each upload will take some health from you. I do think this is nice, it allows for more builds and variety in those builds. Especially now with enhanced and revised Monovire, Mantis Blades and so on. Because Monovire is a good addition now to netrunning build because it can apply quick hacks on target after you hit them. Besides the perks I mentioned, you have skills. So skills were changed and grouped into less categories but still give you bonuses when leveling up through your playstyle. And those skills are Headhunter, Netrunner, Shinobi, Solo and Engineer. And as you can see here, when you level up those skills, you get bonuses that apply to your character, like faster reload speed, movement speed, quick hack duration and more. You can also increase XP of those skills by buying and collecting XP progression shards from various loots in the city and other traders, but keep in mind they are very expensive if you want to buy them that way, and the stock they have is very limited. And besides other buffs, you get some perk points to spend as well. Your build is not over until this is leveled up completely, keep that in mind. Speaking of Cyberware, once you visit Vic or anyone else, there will be now some sort of an animation for sitting down and getting up. Although in my cases, it's usually, open up the menu first and then afterwards, when you are done with your character, setting up all of the cyberware, you will get up from the chair. Very cool addition, helps with the immersion a lot. And Cyberware has seen a huge change. First off, now you have cyberware capacity, meaning that if you reach that limit, you won't be able to put more cyberware. Each piece has a different cost, like for example, you see here Kiroshi Sentry Optics. It increases it by 2. While SmartLink only by 4. This is nothing because other cyberware is a lot more demanding. Of course, each cyberware now has a few things to look out for. Its main effects and extra ones, which can be attuned by your attributes. So if you invest a lot in intelligence or technical or whatever, attunement means that you will get bonus points per attribute point. Don't worry, other cyberware depends on other attuned types, so some will be for body, some will be for reflexes, and so on. On the left we can see this capacity filling up, and once you reach the red zone, that means you start getting debuffs in terms of health and health regeneration. I found that having debuffs is nothing compared to the strength and power you will be getting with cyberware, so I wouldn't pay much attention to this. Maybe at start of the game when your character is not that strong, but later on it's definitely like the buffs you get from it are much better than debuffs. And it's not just Edge Runner, you have other perks like License the Chrome, which gives you other buffs, mostly affecting armor, cooldown, and so on. Synergy between cyberware and abilities is more present now, and it makes sense, which is important. Speaking of armor, because clothing doesn't give you armor anymore, or well, not all clothing gives you armor. If it's a ballistic vest, it will, but you have some other clothing pieces which are good, let's say, for stamina regeneration or faster reload speed. But the main armor comes from skeleton and integumentary cyberware, like subdermal armor, which is mostly attuned to technical abilities, so again, per attribute point you get a buff percentage. Other perks also allow you for extra cyberware slots, mostly for the hand section, but you also have to watch because again, more cyberware, more chances to fill up that capacity. And they have some cool cyberware here. A lot is internal, like Defenzikov, Camilo RAM Manager, Mechatronic Core, and so on. Cyberware won't be visible on your body besides arms, weapons, cyberware like before, so mantis blades, gorilla arms, and so on. Everything else on your face and etc., it doesn't happen. It's not a huge bummer for me though, especially having other cyberware to play with. I think selection right now is very good, and having an ability to buy all cyberware from one ripper was a welcome change. No need to run around to different people anymore. Big change was with UI when placing Chrome, because you can see it internally where it's going to be placed. It raises that immersion a bit more and it's very detailed. Every piece of Chrome shows itself in X-ray. Also now all items go from tier 1 to tier 5, with additional tier 5 plus and plus plus, which increases stats of the items you are upgrading. Upgrading is straightforward, you just need to have crafting components, which is now 1 item, and tier 1 material crafts tier 1 items, tier 2 crafts tier 2 items and up. Very straightforward. It can be expensive though, like tier 5 crafting material is tough to get sometimes in large quantities, so you will have to loot a lot. Crafting is still here as we know, it's just moved to another tab, but the general concept is still the same. You craft from blueprints that you find or buy from traders. In case you have blueprints on your old character, they are saved so you can craft normally as always. UI is a lot better now because you can properly see attack speed, damage, reload speed, effective range and weapons handling, and also the same when it comes to different cyberware. Now speaking of vehicle combat, after 2.0 you can use your pistol or submachine gun to shoot from the car or bike. It's actually very nice when you shoot from your car, especially those cars where doors open on the top, so if you take out the weapon in some cars those doors are going to completely open, which is kinda nice, but for the rest of the vehicles, only thing which happens is that the window goes down, like the window on the side goes down, and when you pull the weapon back, the window is raised up again. Also, while you are on a bike, you can take out katana to fight enemies that way. Sadly, you cannot take out mantis blades. I tried. You can shoot from first person or third person, having lock on to target option as well. I didn't have a problem with shooting. Sometimes though I noticed that some pistols are not that useful to fight, they're actually very weak. So I usually resort to submachine gun because it destroys other cars a lot faster. Enemies are precise as well. They can really do a lot of damage to you if you are not careful, and they are generally very fast, so outrunning them may not be the best tactic. Unless you get them in a very narrow street, that's when I notice that AI kinda loses itself, but not too much, they can be fast even there. And now you also have weaponized vehicles, which are usually cars with crystal dome tech. Check out Javelina. When you get into the game, it should have it, of course, if you own the car. Using machine guns is nice, you can create huge chaos with it, and I really recommend this as one of the first things you do. Just save and go wild to test it out a bit. Speaking of the police system, it's nice that I can finally show it to you. So when you do crime now, you get 1 star. You will have police dispatched and they will arrive to the location to see what happens if you are not seen. Combat won't initiate if you're not seen, giving you enough time to run away. But even if you are seen by someone, let's say, with 1 or 2 stars, it's relatively easy to escape. Once they lose, after a brief of 30 seconds to a minute, depends, wanted level will go away. There is a lot more police now on the roads, and they won't react if you run red light or anything. They will react if you get close to them, hit their vehicle, or even if you shoot in a random empty spot or swing your weapon close to a civilian NPC. That's when actually wanted level kicks in. In case you do engage police, it's nice that you can hear the radio as they arrive, and later on as you fight them with more stars, you get more enemies with more health. Usually with 2 bars, and they come in bigger groups. On level 4 you get weaponized NCPD vehicles. They actually hit hard and never get in front of those bullets because no matter how strong you are, you won't survive. They can be rough, like pushing into a wall, run you from the road. I was genuinely surprised how well it works because I expected some sort of jank, at least, you know, as I said, in some form, but I was proven wrong. Very happy to see that this was the case. Max Stack is the final stage of the wanted system. They arrive in AV, drop down in groups of 4, 1 big guy with LMG, netrunner, sniper, and an officer with assault rifle. They all have somewhat of a mini boss health, so you cannot really just ram through them. They are incredibly durable even after the finishers. You actually take some HP from them, but not all of it. In case you try to run, they set up barricades and hack your car. If that happens, there is nothing you can do besides go on foot and escape that way. If you decide to fight them, they will be coming after you in infinite waves. But just to basically move into a little hole or behind some bigger wall that they cannot really jump or see over, and it's fine. They don't have helicopters, so you can escape relatively easy. Also, a little detail, as those stars go up, music becomes louder and louder with action heating up to level 5 music, and it's actually nuts. Enemy AI is a bit harder now. They flank more and shoot very precisely, sometimes too precisely for my taste, but it's an improvement after all. Keep in mind, they still sometimes glitch out, like I saw 1 or 2 times they stood there and they were very slow to respond to me as I was running, you know, around them. It didn't happen often, luckily, but you know, you're gonna be running into some of those small glitches overall. I noticed more open world encounters like chases and gunfights. Booster gangs are a lot more active than before. It's not constant, keep that in mind, but it does happen, making Night City a little bit more alive. Transmog is in the game. As always, you go to your wardrobe and change it. When you save those outfits later on, as you walk around Night City, you can freely change those outfits for whatever you want. And of course, you don't need to have items in your backpack or anywhere else. You can just basically stash them, sell them, but the actual transmog is going to stay. Johnny is also going to chill with you now in the main apartment. I won't spoil the dialogue and some of the secrets there, but definitely check it out for yourself. When it comes to smaller changes in update 2.0, one of them is that now outside of combat, V doesn't lose stamina when sprinting, But of course you do lose stamina when you're shooting from the hip or just shooting with different weapons. When that happens, the accuracy itself is going to go down and the weapon is going to sway much more. And every single weapon is going to drain your stamina differently. So if you're using a light machine gun, that's going to drain stamina more than using something smaller. Another big change is when it comes to healing. So right now you don't have to use 700 max docs or bounce back. Instead, the one that you have is going to be on cooldown. This actually makes combat a little bit more tactical, but I love this change because I don't have to go and craft more max docs or whatever every half an hour after a fight. And honestly, I didn't really have an issue with this during my, gameplay and during playing through 2.0. Also, SMGs now use pistol ammo, and on the other side you have to realize that now you're gonna be picking up a lot more loot or more ammo from fallen enemies. I honestly did not really have issues too much with running out of ammo like before, but there were still moments when I ran out of ammo. But of course, as it was before, you can craft that ammo as well. And a big change now is that you can also craft cyberware from the crafting tab itself. CDPR also added a new arcade game called Trauma Drama. It actually reminds me a lot of Metal Slug and Contra. If you play those games, you're definitely going to enjoy this one. So you go through levels and basically shoot other gonks and save people while you're at it. It goes through different levels and each level is going to be a lot harder than the previous one, obviously. And of course there are going to be some rewards for your best high score. So definitely go and check it out because this game is a lot of fun. Actually, last night I spent like an hour just playing through this arcade. And one more cool tip for the end is that there is the first equip animation now. All you have to do is hold the B button to get the weapon out. If you use controller, just hold down the button you use to pull out the weapon. I think on PlayStation it's triangle and Y if you are on Xbox controller. So chooms, that's it for my first 2.0 video. I will have a lot more detailed ones in the future, but I don't want to reveal everything until you see it for yourself. If you enjoyed this video, click that like and subscribe button for more Cyberpunk 2077 and join our community on Twitter and Discord. Check out my Phantom Liberty review if you haven't already, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out and stay classy chooms. Bye bye.